Howard DeVore, disagrees.
These guys think that they can work miracles, that they're just magical, and that they can make things look great, and they're full of it. If you cut into skin, it scars. It becomes less flexible, and it has less feeling in it. Not one of those surgeons can deny that.
When he was born with severe hypospadias, or incompletely formed genitals, the doctors could have chosen male or female. What they pressured his parents into choosing, Howard says, was unnecessary surgery.
So at 3 months of age, I had my first surgery. I was now on a course that could not be altered. I was going to have surgery after surgery after surgery, and skin graft after skin graft after skin graft, forever.
And his childhood was filled with pain and isolation.
I was a weird kid, and kids treated me like a weirdo. I couldn't play rough if I was healing from a surgery. Couldn't play in contact sports. Couldn't do rough and tumble play like boys did.
Each summer, almost every holiday, there was yet another surgery. And then there were the minefields of puberty.
Well, you learn pretty quick that you can't expose your genitals in a large group when you're a kid like me.
98 pounders, step up.
You learn either to be the first one in or the last one in, so that you're not in the showers or changing at the same time as any of the other kids. By high school, it was just getting to be too much. So I learned how to hyperventilate so that I passed out. And I was excused from gym class.
16 surgeries later, Howard believes the operations were not only cruel, but unnecessary.
The one thing I want more than anything in this life is to have been able to have had the genitals that I was born with, that God gave me, rather than what was taken from me at 3 months of age against my will. Nobody asked me.
I experience infections.
Mm-hmm. People's genitals are their own, and they should be left alone. My name's Hale, and my experience is a little bit different than yours. When I was born with a very small penis. My parents were told that I would have to be raised as a female. And my parents balked, thankfully. They thought that what they were looking at was male genitalia.
Hale's parents refused to allow surgery.
Nonetheless, I have a very, very happy life. I'm able to have a fulfilling sexual life with a long-term partner, orgasms, and all those wonderful things are not a problem.
Parents, in the beginning, they think, oh my God, this is terrible, I have to do something about it. But eventually they come to some peace with it. They just do.
Mommy, you better get over here. Well, what I'd like to do is to examine her, and let's see how the surgery's doing.
Okay.
And I didn't feel like this was a tragedy. I didn't feel that way. To me, she was a healthy little girl.
She's doing terrific, and we're very pleased.
But in fact, after more than 50 years of surgery on intersexual infants, doctors still don't know if their ex-patients are silent and happy or silent and unhappy.
So that is the most important thing about gender assignment. You have to be comfortable with the sex that you've been assigned.
Cheryl Chase and Hale Hallbecker are now lobbying Congress to stop gender assignment surgery on intersexual infants.
Doctors are actually sort of the ultimate social constructionists. They actually believe, they have a formal policy at the American Academy of Pediatrics that says any child can be turned into a girl or a boy as long as we're allowed to do surgery.
The Academy's official position states, research on children with ambiguous genitalia has shown that a person's sexual body image is largely a function of socialization, and children can be raised successfully as members of either sex if the process begins before 2 years. Dr. Glassberg is the American Academy of Pediatrics spokesperson on this issue.
Well, the American Academy of Pediatrics position on all this is a somewhat evolving one, but I think we're still going to do our surgery if we feel it is indicated.
It isn't a few vocal radicals who are saying this. It's thousands of intersex people around the world. Of the hundreds of people who I've met who are intersexed, and of probably the thousands of cases that I've reviewed, I can't find one person who is happy with their surgical result, who thinks that what was done to them by surgeons is really great and they would have done it again. Not one.
Actually, neither the activists nor the surgeons have much more than anecdotal evidence. Only recently have people on both sides of the early surgery controversy pushed for better long-term outcome studies. In the meantime, Cheryl Chase says, a big step would be to tell parents that at the moment there is no reliable scientific evidence that intersex children benefit from early childhood surgery.
The way that I was born wasn't something that made me physically ill. And the surgery wasn't necessary for any medical reason. They did it because they thought that my body was horrifying. They just looked at it and they said, ah, you can't have this.
Activists are pushing doctors for a better explanation.
And if the doctors say, you have a beautiful, healthy child, we're not exactly certain what the sex is right now, and we're going to have to do some tests to find that out. And I know that this is probably surprising to you, and you might not have heard of this before, but I have. I've seen it many times, and I'm going to introduce you to some other parents who've been through this, and I'm going to introduce you to some adults who've been through this.
Cheryl says the doctors and parents should decide together whether to label their child a boy or a girl. The baby goes home with the agreed-upon identity, but no surgery is done.
I think that when the child is old enough to make a decision for themselves, which is probably sometime during adolescence, as long as they understand what the risks are, they should be allowed to request surgery if they want it, and also to say that they don't want surgery if they don't want it.
I sincerely believe that the vast majority of patients we've done right by.
Bye-bye, sweetie. Bye-bye.
The aims of the surgery are genuinely humanitarian, the doctors who perform them say. Sometimes, Dr. Glassberg feels, the activists don't understand that.
But there were interesting and necessary questions that were being asked that we had to respond to. And I've spent hours upon hours thinking about them.
We think of male and female as the great human divide, but intersexuals are teaching us just how narrow that divide can be.
I have a wife, and I've been married for 5 months. My wife knows all about my past. She knows. But she loves me. She truly loves me.
This is what happens in love. There should be no shame in this. That's the way it is.
What intersexuals have to teach the rest of us is the truth about all of us. That none of us fit the stereotype. None of us are Madonna, not even Madonna. None of us are Rambo, not even Rambo. There's not a chance. It isn't humanly possible.
Gender, it seems, is a work in progress for all of us. As research about gender identity unfolds, the question remains, what decisions are best for the infant? We've done what we thought was best for our child, Rick and Tina say. If we've made mistakes, we'll get through them as a family.
When that time comes, if it does come, that we'll be able to get over that as well. I'll be there for her no matter what.
In the end, perhaps, It's our children themselves who must tell us who and what they are.